I don't know what will happen by the time we approach middle of August and September.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, we engage stakeholders on wet season farming and managing post-harvest losses.
Well, there are always diverse efforts aimed at improving food security during wet seasons, with both traditional and mechanized methods explored by farmers.
No doubt about that, Kyria. Now, the onset of the rains in Nigeria usually ticks off farming activities for those in this segment of the agricultural subsector, and that's because they rely mostly on what is referred to as rain-fed agriculture. From the north to the south, what to grow heightens greatly at this time of year.
Yes, indeed, and depending on the part of the country and other variables, the rainy season, also known as the wet season, largely commences from April through to the end of October, sometimes rolling off into the last 2 months of the year. No thanks to climate change for that particular moment.
No doubt about that. And the wet season is often characterized by low temperatures. And actually, we have seen abnormal rainfall patterns in recent years. But farmers in most parts of the country usually gear up to take advantage of the rainfall to till their farms and get activities going.
And proceeding for the season, of course, will be the clearing of such farmlands before those crops that suit this climate condition will be widely cultivated. This is usually effective from March, and the farmers dig into the change cycle to effective food production.
Well, there are indications that an estimated 60% increase in food production will be required by 2050 to feed the global population. And of course, Nigeria's population will also account for those numbers. So ultimately, more is expected from the sector to increase agricultural yields and contain post-harvest losses, which of course remains one of the major drawbacks of our food security architecture.
Sure, and enough sub-Saharan Africa has been described as having huge food security concerns, as the majority of food waste occurs at the post-harvest level. This is not a new concept in Nigeria, and Nigerians just think of perishable crops such as tomatoes, vegetables, and fruits. Some on the farm during harvest gathering, and others occur while the commodities are in transit. Certainly, Kingsley, there are many stages, where we will lose produce, farm produce, from the point of harvest, to, of course, those of them that will go right to the market, at some point you discover that they get perished.
That's true. But, 2020, of course, is a very unique year on the human calendar, and that's because of the coronavirus pandemic that has stalled a good number of sectors. Now, what impact has that also had on agricultural activities in 2020 in Nigeria? Plus, you listened to one of the headlines a while ago. We are expecting more floods. Kyrian, flooding is not just injurious in terms of its impact to urban locations, but more especially floods, because crops require just a desirable amount of water for them to flourish. And if it becomes too much, then that becomes another source of disaster.
Exactly. The flooding in Nigeria has taken a new dimension, because no state is free from it. In fact, what happened last week here in Abuja, Suleja area, it was so devastating. Homes were destroyed, properties destroyed, persons lost their lives.
In Kiri area as well. No question about that. So we shall be taking a look at some of these aspects, including, of course, what Kiri spoke about a while ago, namely management of post-harvest losses, so that at least the yields that come out from the soil can be better managed. My name is Kingsley Osadolo, and it's on that note that we welcome you to this edition of Good Morning Nigeria, reaching you live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. And we're broadcasting, as always, from our nation's capital, Abuja.
And I am Kyrian Umayo, joining Kingsley to welcome you to this edition of the program. In a moment, we'll be serving you with the morning news and, of course, the complementary segments in the course of today's edition of your breakfast show. And here is Ifama Ojenta with the news highlight.
Good morning, Kieran and Kinsley, and here is the news. President Muhammadu Buhari has made a strong representation to member states to do whatever is necessary towards strengthening the Gulf of Guinea Commission, saying it is in their best interest for the organization to effectively execute its mandate. The president was speaking at a virtual audience with the executive secretary of the commission, Florentina Adenike Okonga. Nigeria's Akinwumi Adesina is set to be re-elected for a second term as president of the African Development Bank. This follows his vindication by an independent investigation panel into allegations of nepotism and abuse of procedures.
Investing $24 billion on that strategy to feed Africa. And we need a lot of technical support.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari warmly rejoices with President of the African Development Bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, on the clearing of all allegations against him by an anonymous group and further validation of his competence and integrity to lead the institution. President Buhari congratulates AFDB Board of Directors, the Ethics Committee and members of staff for their courage, maturity and patience in following through the process of investigations and acceptance of report of panel of high-level independent experts which reviewed the reports of Ethics Committee of AFDB and Dr. Adesina's response. The President commends the eminent personalities consisting of Mary Robertson, Justice Hassan B. Jallo and Leonard F. McCarthy, who handled the review of the report of the Ethics Committee, and their professionalism in rejecting support services and providing a unanimous report. President Buhari believes the conclusion of the review should finally draw a curtain on the allegations that created distractions for the entire institution for a period and serve as impetus for more diligence in handling responsibilities while fueling the zeal to deliver on the promises of a greater Africa. The President urges Dr. Adesina to remain steadfast, dedicated and resolute in pursuing his noble goals for the institution, especially with the now expected second term in office, assuring him of the prayers and support of Nigerians. Nigeria will continue to play a key role in peace support and peacekeeping operations with a view to maintaining its pride of place in the Committee of Nations through robust training of forces deployed to the battlefronts. Chief of the Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Yusuf Buratai, gave the assurance in his message to personnel of the Martin Luther Agway International Peacekeeping Center, Jaji.
The Nigerian Army continues to enjoy from Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari. This support is responsible for all the successes recorded by the Nigerian Army in all its engagements since the onset of this administration.
The Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority says as at June 2020, it has disbursed the sum of 231.8 billion naira for the execution of the Lagos-Ibadan, Abuja-Kano Expressways and the second Niger Bridge. The managing director of the authority, Uche Oji, said this while briefing the Senate Committee on Finance on the execution of major critical infrastructure projects of the federal government.
There were areas where we saved a lot of money. Lagos, Ibadan, Abuja, Kano were already awarded and ongoing before we were invited into the PIDF structure. So by the time you arrived, things already have been done.
The Accountant General of the Federation has released several billions of naira to your agency as part of the federal government contribution towards this project.
The federal government has restated its position that there will be no sacred cows in its anti-corruption war. Information and Culture Minister Alai Mohammed said this at a media briefing on the administration's fight against corruption in Abuja.
There's no sacred cow in this fight, that unlike the PDP, we will not cover up for anyone, including the members of our party and government, who faces corruption allegations. Our fight against corruption is blind to party affiliation, position in government, and any other consideration.
The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has confirmed 624 new cases of COVID-19 in the country. The latest figures released at about midnight on the 28th of July indicates that 18 states recorded new cases of the virus. Lagos has the highest number of new infections with 212 cases, followed by Oyo with 69. Niger has 49. Kano and Osun have 37. FCT 35. Other states include Plateau 34, Gombe 3, Edo and Enugu have 28 cases each, while Ebonyi has 17. Delta 10, Katsina recorded 9, Ogun 8 cases, Rivers 7, Ondo 5, Kaduna 4, and Nasarawa 2. So far, Nigeria has 41,804 confirmed cases of COVID-19. 18,764 of them have been discharged, while 868 patients died of the virus. The Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency says Nigerians should prepare for more flooding this year, with many days of rainfall expected in the next 3 months, as predicted by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET. NISA is advising individuals, communities, and governments at the state and local government areas to take precautions to avoid further losses of lives and property.
The month of August, middle of August and September are very critical for flooding in Nigeria. If, therefore, as early as June, in some parts of Nigeria, we are losing lives and property occasioned by flooding, I don't know what will happen by the time we approach middle of August and September in Nigeria.
And that's the news. The program continues with Kinsley and Kirian after this break.
Main way coronavirus spread is when infected people sneeze and cough. Small droplets of fluid expelled by cough or sneezes are laced with viruses looking for new respiratory tracts to infect. When a sick person sneezes around someone who is healthy, the virus can land in the nose, mouth, or even the eyes, causing an infection. Symptoms can include fever, cough, shortness of breath. Symptoms may appear within 2 to 14 days. Seek medical advice if you develop symptoms and have been in close contact with a person known to have COVID-19, or if you live or have recently been in an area with ongoing spread of COVID-19. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest. Nigerians, let us take responsibility. Stay healthy, stay safe, and curb the spread of the virus. Take responsibility. The coronavirus spreads from one person to another. Let us avoid crowd gathering of any kind for any reason. Take responsibility. Avoid traveling from one state to another during these lockdown restrictions. Obey all the rules that are put in place. Take responsibility. Stop spreading fake news and unverified reports about the coronavirus. There is no known cure for COVID-19. Take responsibility. Observe all the measures that can help stop the spread of the virus. Together, we can do this, but only if we take responsibility. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Nigerians. Coronavirus is dangerous. It can kill. When you see this sign, high fever, cough, shortness of breath, drowsiness, pneumonia, don't panic, don't hide. Don't embark in self-medication. Promptly visit the nearest medical facility. Report all cases to the nearest hospital. Prevention is key. Avoid contact with infected persons. Avoid crowded areas as much as possible. Wash your hands regularly. Use hand sanitizers. Your life is precious. Stay alive. Live long, live right. This message is sponsored by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture and the Nigerian Film Corporation. Nigerian Film Corporation, powering possibility.
All right, you are watching Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Well, today is the 29th day of July, and yesterday on Good Morning Nigeria, we did indicate that train services were going to resume between Abuja and Kaduna and back. Indeed, we had the Managing Director of the Nigerian Railway Corporation join us via Skype from Lagos. This morning, we have our correspondent at the Idu train station here in the Federal Capital Territory. Ade Olusoye, of course, is there. Olusoye, I see him there on the right side of your screen. Olusoye, bring us up to speed as to what is happening at the Idu terminal station of the Abuja-Kaduna train service.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kingsley. It is 43 days that the rail business right here at the Abuja-Kaduna rail station was put to a stop owing to COVID-19. But today, activities are back, and we see the life back to the rail station. The first trip was actually scheduled for 7, and we see a traffic of passengers already trooping in to see the excitement on their faces and to see the train business back to business and to things, to the situation of things here. Now, one thing we also understand is this is coming back at the time when COVID adverse rates must be ensured, and this is one of the things that we see coming to be. Right from the entrance point, we see security operatives ensuring the mandatory use of face masks and coming with their own personal hand sanitizers. Right on the floor of every environment of this station is marked to maintain social distance, and even the seats are also marked to ensure social distancing. We, like I said, we see the first trip moving, and the right inside the train, the social distancing rule is also observed. But let me also bring in the manager of the Abuja rail station, the Abuja-Kaduna rail station, Mr. Pascal, who will be telling us about the situation of the readiness and preparation going forward. Mr. Pascal, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Sheyi. Thank you for having me.
What is the preparation so far? And how can you see, how ready are you people going now?
We are very much ready, as you have rightly said and seen. The security operatives are here to ensure that all our protocols are adhered to. First of all, anybody coming to the railway environment and facility should put on his face mask. It's not negotiable. If there is no face mask on you, you are turned back. You don't even allow you access into our environment. Secondly, we have marked strategic locations inside all our environment, so that people will know where to stand at every point in time. You can see the ticket queuing system. The sanction stands are there with the directive signs. People know where to go to and how to go. And I'm impressed with what I have seen this morning. People were oddly, apart from one or two little, inadvertent mistakes, but we are satisfied with the level of compliance from our passengers. And I would encourage them to continue to do so, while we are promising to serve them better. We are not averse to input. Anybody who have any reasonable something to, advice to give us, or recommendation to make, we are ready to accept that, and key it into our operational procedures.
Now, we also understand that trip is going to be going from 8 trip before to 14 now. When are you ready for this? Is it going to be today, or is it going to be something of...
No. Normally, today we are supposed to do 2 return trips, 4 general trips. But because of the festive period, we decided to do 8 trips, so that we carry more people will benefit from our services. However, For now, we are continuing with the 8 return trips in the old regime, while arrangements are ongoing to incorporate the newly acquired rolling stock into operations. They're already on ground, but we just received them. We need to, do some certain things, make sure that they're acclimatized to what we are doing, get them ready for operational fitness before we deploy them. Very soon, we are going to deploy them.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Pascal.
Thank you, sir.
So, like he said, is also what we observed, that people actually organize themselves, and for now, everything here has been smooth. So that is just the situation report right here at the Edu rail station.
Let me ask you this. I hope you can hear me, and I also hope that the manager is still around you, because this question might as well go to him. A couple of days ago, the Minister of Transportation informed Nigerians that, of course, the fare for Kaduna Abuja rail transport has been increased. Of course, it's been categorized. That's 6,000, 5,000, and 3,000. Has that become effective? If yes, how are people reacting to that, and how is it going to impact on the accusation of ticket racketeering, which of course has marred the activities of staff of Kaduna Abuja rail station?
All right, I got it very clear. We are talking about the increase in fare. We see the first class goes for 6,000, the second class will go for the 5,000, and the other part is for 3,000. What is the reaction of passengers to this? Are they welcoming this move? And how is this actually helping to curb the ticket racketeering that has been mined this operation of the rail system in Nigeria?
Okay, let me quickly correct an impression first. The same train that goes for 6,000 is the same train that goes for 5,000. But the difference is the movement and the timing. The one for 6,000 is express train. It doesn't stop anywhere. It's the same coach that you pay 6,000 for, but subsequently you are paying 5,000 because it stops at intermittent stations. That one shuttles. So that is why there is that 1,000 naira difference. If you remember, before now, one was going for 2,005, the other one was going for 3,000. So that is it. Now, we did not increase fare to curb ticket racketeering or anything, but having reduced the carrying capacity or the number of passengers we carry, if we must run, we need to increase that price so that at least we can offset the operational cost. Even if you don't make money, you break even, operationally speaking. If we do not increase that ticket, there is no way we would have achieved. Do you know the quantity of diesel we consume every month? A lot. In fact, even with this increase, we might not be able to cover the operational cost. So it's not to curb ticket racketeering.
So how are reaction of people today?
You can see today, you saw it for yourself, they were willing to pay and they paid. That is why the train left.
All right, I think you can hear that from the studio. Thank you very much.
Lucia, thank you. Just before we let you go, happily the station manager has indicated that the train scheduled to depart at 7 has indeed left the station. Let him clarify this further, because while we were introducing you, I did say that yesterday we had on Good Morning Nigeria the managing director of the Railway Corporation. And the impression that had been created all along was that the first-class service from Abuja to Kaduna, and indeed Kaduna to Abuja, is 6,000 flat. Business class is 5,000, and economy is 2,000 or 3,000 or thereabout. Now, let the manager clarify this. Is he saying that the express service is for 6,000 first class, and the non-express service is 5,000 first class?
So we still want you to clarify, because the minister actually announced that the first class is 6,000, the economy is 5,000, and the business is 5,000, the economy is 3,000. Now, you're now saying that 6,000 is for something and 5,000. We just want you to clarify this.
Now, before now, the first and the last trains, the business class was 3,000 before we suspended operation on the 25th of March. Our first and last trains, the business class was 3,000. And if you do 100% increase, what will it give you? 6,000. Now, the intermittent trains, the one that shuttles, was 2005. If you do 100% increase, what will it give you?
5,000.
So that is what I'm saying.
Okay. So I think it's still, from what he's saying, it's still in line with the minister. It's still the same increment of 6,000 for the first class and 5,000 and 3,000 as it might be.
Well, we have had the clarification now, but when he says that the 6,000 is express, so it doesn't stop anywhere, so it means there's a separate train altogether, while the other ones that are shuttles, so of course there should be a different train, well, if I understand him properly. But at this point, we'd like to thank you and also appreciate him for the clarifications and, of course, all the things he told us this morning concerning the resumption of rail service at the Abuja Kaduna axis. Thank you, Olusheye, for that short report. You are watching Good Morning Nigeria, and of course, what we have next is a newspaper review.
Our newspaper reviewer, Bayo Tebe, is right here with us in the studios. Bayo, good morning and welcome.
Thank you, Kinsley. Good morning. Good morning,
welcome, Bayo. Yeah.
Good morning, Nigeria.
Yeah, let's begin with the Punch newspaper. The Punch newspaper above the nameplate, power crisis deepens. MBET fails to pay Gencos 181.39 billion naira. The story is on page 9. Now, AFDP, that's African Development Bank Independent Panel, clears additional of wrongdoing. That's good news. It's on page 23. Rep summon Emefiele, Pencom boss and others over 300 billion naira funds. It's on page 21. Netherlands, Switzerland to repatriate $200 million Malabo deal cash, says AGF. It's on page 21 as well. Now, below the nameplate, we have the lead story. It's on COVID-19 hazard allowance. 33 states failed to pay as 854 doctors and nurses test positive. With the two riders, Ogun now disagree over payment, and Abia owes doctors 16 months' salaries. All the stories are on page 2. And then below the photo story, which is showing the Kaaba, Islam's holiest shrine at the center of the Grand Mosque in Mecca, preparatory for pilgrimage. Of course, they are trying to see how they can imbibe COVID-19 protocol. This is very important worship center. All right, and below that we have, say, Facebook, Twitter, delete videos of U.S. doctor claiming COVID-19 cure. That's on page 9. A very controversial one there. Presidency should be based on competence, not turn by turn, according to Buhari's nephew. That's on page 13. Kaduna bandits dare authorities release videos of stolen cows. That's on page 2. Now, Ide Kabir, federal government declares Thursday, Friday public holidays. It's on page 11. Firo board demands salary refund from demoted DG. With a rider, Lagos welder impregnates, procures abortion for teenager. The stories on pages 4 and 5. Now, Ozekome meets Salami panel, testifies against Magu, submits videos. It's on page 11. Kinsley.
All right, we'll take a look at the Nation newspaper. Above the nameplate, let's take two of those headlines. It says, Buhari's anti-graft war on course, says federal government. That's page 25. On page 5, we've done our best on southern Kaduna, says El-Rufai. And below the nameplate, says Oshomole to PDP, don't focus on things I said in the past. And former commissioners, not EXCO members. We are seeking re-election to secure Edo future. That's on Edo 2020. Elections are coming up in September. This story. Massive floods coming to Benue and others. Agency warns Kogi, Kaduna, Niger, and Bauchi also to be affected. Don't link Okumbo with Desiani's case. Don't link Okumbo with Desiani's case. And lawyers vote NBA ESCO, that's the Nigerian Bar Association, says the electronic voting for the executive Committee of the NBA will begin at 11 p.m. today and hold for 24 hours. Details on page 25. 774,000 jobs halted in Niger. And then also there on the front page, Akpabio's list of NDDC contractors diversionary. Reps insist on suing minister. CRR, that's cash reserve ratio. CBN holds 900 billion naira customers' deposits with banks. Bachama selects new paramount ruler, and Melaye loses at appeal court. Details on page 6. Bye.
Thank you, Kinsley. Let's start with the congratulatory message from President Muhammadu Buhari to Dr. Akinwumi Adesina for being cleared by a panel headed by Mary Robinson, former president of Ireland. There were 16 allegations of ethical misconduct, but the president of the African Development Bank had been cleared of it. President Muhammadu Buhari says that this is a validation of the competence and integrity of the Chief Executive of the African Development Bank, and he enjoined Dr. Adesina to retain and remain steadfast and dedicated and resolute in pursuing the noble goals for which he has set up for the African Development Bank, especially assuring him of prayers and support of Nigerians for his expected second term. Meanwhile, the Federal Ministry of Interior has announced the declaration of public holiday Thursday, tomorrow, and Friday in respect of Eid al-Kabir's celebrations. A statement from the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Georgina Ihuria, congratulates Nigerian Muslims and all other Nigerians and enjoyed the imbibing of the spirit of love, peace, kindness, and sacrifice, and also to use the occasion to pray for peace, unity, and prosperity, and joining all to be responsible with COVID-19. The other interesting story also relates to the recoveries that has been announced by the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation. He was given a scorecard of his stewardship, and he says the sum of 200 million is expected from Netherlands and Switzerland. These are part of the litigations about offshore oil block relating to OPL license 245. He also gave an indication that due to the anti-corruption initiative of the administration, the ministry facilitated the return of about $62 billion from oil companies. This was from the federal government production share agreement. Other recoveries include $311 million from United States and State of Jersey and $6.3 million from Northern Ireland. All had been now deployed into projects of Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, Abuja-Kano Expressway, as well as Second Niger Bridge. They also recovered is $685 million recovered through whistleblowers policy and $500 million from forfeited vessel, trucks, and other things. He added that the legal framework introduced by the Ministry of Justice is helping the war against corruption. And that collaborates what the Minister of Information and Culture asserted yesterday, that the war against corruption is on course. And the fact that some persons who are key operators in the war against corruption are also being indicted shows that there's no sweeping the war of corruption under the carpet. The other stories of interest regards the withdrawal of the registration of some certificate related to some social cultural groups. This is reported by the Tribune. It says the Registrar General of the Corporate Affairs Commission, Garba Abubakar, has said that this is a major taken to ensure that some organizations that have been reported to be security threats are taken cognizance of. He indicated that in the no distant past, some 2 organizations were denied registration. This was Ohaneze Ndigbo Worldwide, as well as the second one was the Ariwa Consultative Forum and the South-South Youth Forum. He says that henceforth, all of them probably will have to renew, those ones that are available will have to renew their registration, and that such registration will be subjected to security checks. It is all intended to ensure that nobody uses social-cultural groups to foment trouble.
Now, I'm interested in, Akinwumi Adesina's, issue, having been cleared by a very reputable panel that was set up for him over a 16-count charge of misconduct on unethical practice. I am not speaking for him, but he's somebody I worked with when I was the Minister of Agriculture. This is a man you can vouch for, when it comes to doing things with due process. He's a good, practical Christian, and I'm not surprised that he actually was cleared, by that panel. I'm happy about that. I believe that Nigerians should also be happy as well, because if he had been indicted, of course, that that would have robbed off. Exactly, yes. Exactly.
But actually, it was I think the United States of America that insisted on it. All other members, including the board members for the agency, were all satisfied. But it was at the insistence. But like you said, the litmus test has been set and he has passed, because the panel that investigated was deemed to have been international and impeccable.
Yes, yes.
All right, congratulations to him, and we'll see what the next steps will be. But that's not the voting yet for the re-election.
No,
but it just positions him.
Having been cleared, for me, is
no,
as
no,
good
no.
as...
Well, let's be clear about it. It positions him for re-election.
Yes.
But that's not the voting yet.
Yes.
Yes. Because, assuming he wasn't cleared or he was indicted or found to have infringed upon the ethical rules of the organization, that might have become another issue.
He wouldn't have qualified to
contest. That's right. But right now, he has a foot at the door, to continue in office. Most of the stories are basically routine. There is nothing except for yesterday, and I'm sure that everybody around the world, particularly in the U.S. And here also in Nigeria, about a viral video of a female doctor who claimed to be a Nigerian in the first instance. And it turns out that by those who know her, that she's actually a Cameroonian,
yes,
although went to medical school here in Nigeria, making claims as to the uselessness, if you like, of face mask, and the cure available for face mask from all kinds of sources. But of course, there were a number of counter narratives that flowed ceaselessly yesterday, and the authorities, of course, also took their own steps. Twitter and Facebook took down those posts.
All taken it down, yes.
Took down those posts, including suspending the use of the account by Donald Trump Jr. That's the son of the president of the U.S. And the persons who are in the U.S. have indicated that it was a dominant topic for discussion on major networks yesterday in the U.S.
The controversy is still raging because he identified 3 drugs, hydrochloroquine, zinc, and Zitromax, has been very effective in curing COVID-19. And she is asserting that COVID-19 can be cured. She has treated 350 patients and none has died, including people who are aged between 60 and 90.
He says the 92-year-old man.
Yes.
You see, honestly speaking, I'm not a medical person, right? But if you look at the passion with which this lady was, delivering whatever information that she had, it shows you that there's something fishing somewhere. Because a number of people have said, and she said one thing, that look, that some of these pharmaceutical companies across the globe want to make their money. These are companies that declare billions of dollars as gains on a yearly basis. And when this issue of coronavirus came, it's another business venture for some establishments, especially those in the medical field. And she made it so clear that, look, I have a clinic. People come in there on a daily basis, and you can investigate. That can be investigated. In America, they will have records, right? So if anybody is giving a narrative against hers, of course, go there and investigate. She has a licensed clinic that she runs. She's also a licensed medical personnel in America. So if she's talking to America, she flew from Texas to Washington to deliver this message. And if you think she doesn't mean what she was saying, investigate her and find out those who have passed through her medically, and whether they had coronavirus or whether they are free from coronavirus after her treatment or not. The thing is this: we have interviewed so many persons on coronavirus, Kingsley and I, especially one of the doctors in Gwagwalada here, who told us sometime last week that, look, in some cases, the biological behavior of the virus is yet unknown, is not understandable yet, because one, somebody could have it without taking even aspirin. It can go. And another person might have it. So it depends on the individual. So that lady should be listened to. I believe that she should be further investigation of what she was saying.
I think it will go to broaden the need for deep investigation and research on coronavirus. The novelty of coronavirus is challenging the world.
Exactly.
The editorial is about...
there will be many more matters arising.
Yes, certainly.
Probe lawmakers named in NDD's contract scandal. That's just this bio. Let's bring you in immediately.
Yes, the Nigerian pilot is harping on this, and is harping on the members of the National Assembly, distinguished senators and honorable members, to remain honorable. But the editorial is posing a lot of questions, talking about the fact that are they being done about the allegation? And the Nigerian Tribune has answers to that. The Tribune is reporting that the Committee on Ethics is already questioning about 30 members of the House of Representatives regarding this. They have to face the Ethics Committee and ask questions. But the editorial goes on to say that the oversight of the NDDC has been called to question because this alleged fraud has been persisted and contracts since 2001, and that is 19 years ago.
It is perennial.
It's been perennial. And therefore, he says that the members of the National Assembly should come out as distinguished and honorable members by opening up and putting into public domain those who have actually been implicated.
In fact, Bayo, when the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs openly and publicly said that some contracts went to the National Assembly members, I believed him, because he can't just be talking. These are documented evidence. There are things that are documented. You don't give contract without documenting the contract.
I hope you will not be tapped as a witness.
Okay. Because of the special knowledge you have.
No, he said that they're documented. And before you give a contract, it has to be documented, isn't it?
In fact, he presented a 3-page document, and some of the allegations there, the revelations there, are quite weighty, and the members of the National Assembly should look into them.
I think, Bayo, we're going to sign you off now.
Thank you.
The point, we have made this point in our newspaper review sessions in the past, is what can and should President Muhammadu Buhari do to change the ugly narrative of NDDC? All of these stories have been on for so many years.
Yeah.
So what is the next best new thing that can happen and should happen to NDDC? And all those contracts that were awarded and have not been executed, it looks like people were just going there to poach. And then you poach, you come back, and there's no development in the Nigeria Delta. What can and should President Muhammadu Buhari do to change that?
Clean the organs table.
Big time. Bye, see, tomorrow is a public holiday, but we're going to see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right. It's Good Morning Nigeria, live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. We're taking a short break now. When we return, we'll be discussing agriculture and managing post-harvest losses.
Coronavirus, also known as COVID-19, is spreading at an alarming rate all over the globe, including Nigeria. With the number of infected persons in Nigeria increasing daily, prevention is better than cure. Coronavirus has no cure. The virus spreads from one person, who affects 2 persons, and by the time the affected person is isolated, the 2 persons have affected 4, and it keeps spreading. You must take preventive measures to save yourself and that of the people around you. Always wash your hands with soap and water. Put distance between yourself and others. Whenever you cough or sneeze, cover your mouth. Clean and disinfect surfaces. Stay at home if you're sick and contact the proper authorities. Together, we can cut down the spread of the coronavirus. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest TV network.
Today on Happy Clean Niger Mission, we visit Mrs. Johnson live in Lagos.
Helen Paul.
Hello, madam. Would you like to join us on this mission?
Yes, but how?
Just one question for you. How do you keep your toilet clean?
I use regular detergent and bleach for washing and removing yellow stains. I have been using it for years.
Oh, madam, the regular detergents and bleach are used for washing clothes. To clean your toilet properly, you need Harpic 10X. It is specially made for stains in the toilet. Harpic Thick formula settles on stains and gives 10 times better cleaning compared to regular detergents and bleach.
Wow, now I'm convinced, Helen Paul.
Really?
Yeah.
Now that she's part of the mission, the next house is yours.
Coronavirus is real. Steps to avoid this pandemic. Wash your hands regularly or sanitize your hands. Keep social and physical distancing. Avoid crowded places. Stay at home unless absolutely necessary. Don't touch your eyes, nose or mouth if your hands are not clean. Avoid the spread of coronavirus. Coronavirus is real.
The wet season farming and post-harvest losses, of course, is the focus of our conversation this morning on Good Morning Nigeria. But first, let's take this background report to, of course, prepare the grounds for the conversation. It's put together by Aisha Obali.